Hey friends, Charles from the Gentleman's Journey here. Guys, in this video, we're gonna be looking at my all new RBM UP-2 hot tent. Now guys, I've already taken this on an adventure. I put it through its paces, got familiar with it. So in this video, we're gonna do an unboxing. We're gonna set it up, go through all the processes. It's gonna be great, so come along for the journey. Well friends, thanks again for clicking through. Guys, if you are new here, welcome. And if you've been watching for a while, thank you so much for coming back. Guys, I don't know if you're interested in the RBM UP-2, or maybe you've bought it already and you're just intimidated to get it out of the bag. Well, in this video, we're gonna pop it up. We're gonna walk through it and talk about all the different features and cover all the details about setting it up. By the end of it, you should feel good about either purchasing it or setting up yours on your own. Friends, what do you say we get right into it? So right off the bat, guys, this big green bag is the tent, and right over here is the ground floor. Now the ground floor is purchased separate. It's insulated. The tent does have a floor of its own, but this is highly recommended. Now friends, I did use my little wagon to get it out here because this thing is quite heavy, so you're not gonna be backpacking it in. It's definitely made for guys that are gonna be using maybe a snowmobile, four-wheeler, a dog sled, what have you. So I want to get started with the ground floor first, since I have it. Of course, if you don't have this option, then you'll start with the tent, but it's nice. It has its own little bag. And the cool thing about this company, everything is oversized, so it's not hard to get it back in the bag once you get it out. So the measurements are definitely going to be on the website, guys. This is the RBM UP-2. They have the RBM UP-2 Mini, and then the RBM 5, UP-5. Let me lay down just to give you an idea. I'm 6'2". Check that out, friends. All right, let's get inside this bag and see what we're dealing with, friends. So here's the main body of the tent and all the extra supplies. I can't tell you how durable this bag is. So briefly, guys, I wanted to show you how that little piece of the floor zips out. So this makes an ice fishing hut, so you can go ahead and unzip from the inside and then have a little place to auger out your hole and catch those big fish. And not just the zipper, but they have a Velcro. Right there is another access to the actual floor. You'll notice all around the corners is a slot right here that is reinforced with stitching. This is gonna be where the tent poles land. So the actual tent pole that holds up has a rubber boot, and that's gonna land right here. So there's no fussing and trying to figure out where the tent's supposed to go. Then you have a stake down point out here. Well friends, let's get to the fun part and get the tent set up. So you'll see here it kind of lays out, and each one of the tent legs has two pivot points. Has a pivot point at the bottom right there, that knuckle if you will, and then it has another knuckle right here. These are gonna make a little more sense as we start setting it up, but I'll go ahead and get all these opened. I'm paying careful attention not to stand on the tent poles themselves, but in between. This is a point where you want to start thinking about where your doors are going to be. It has two doors, and specifically your stove jack. So I can see my stove jack right here, and you got to make sure you're in the clear with trees. Now I'm not actually going to be burning it in today, but just something to make sure you know where that's at. You want to rotate it while you have it in this position before it's set up, unless you have 2 or 3 people to help you rotate it. So the door that's facing the camera there has the RBM Outdoors logo on it. Something specific about this door has a zipper on it on the outside, and that zipper is in case you get the garage or an addition that you add on. You could park a four-wheeler or something like that in there. You could have a whole nother camp set up in that addition. We don't have that, but just something to think about as you're setting up yours. So friends, I already have this door open so I can access it through here. I'm gonna go in there and pull down on the pole and push up on the rest of the tent. I gotta tell you, this takes quite a bit of effort. You might need 2 folks to get it done, but I guarantee you can get it. All right. Got my workout for the day, friends. So here we are at any one of the corners, and I wanted to show you, here's the tent pole and there's the rubber boot. It's a aluminum pole, and that's the slot that it goes in. So how sweet is that? Then you can come by and you can go ahead and stake these together. I'm not sure if they meant it to have this stake down and that out above it. I don't think there's enough stakes for that. I think it's plenty fine to go through there. You'll notice this is a little bit loose as opposed to going out there. So there's 2 sets of stakes for this tent. So there might be enough for every loop. I haven't counted, but the first kind here is a screw. So you can come through here. I'm not sure which climate this would be better for. Right now you saw that dirt, I can just shove it in. But the other kind is gonna be more of a tent stake that you might be used to. Has a really nice hook and even a loop on there. But again, this is really soft. When it's not soft, they thought of everything. There's a nice hammer here, so you can finish that off. Now guys, this has a ferro rod and a knife and all kinds of tools. So you can throw some sparks. It's gonna have a saw, and it's gonna have a multi-tool, a little loop there. I don't know if that's to hang it. So that's the hammer, stakes. It's Japanese of sorts, I suppose. Inside the bag, you're gonna find a nice repair kit. Has everything you're gonna need to fix anything that breaks on there. You'll also have a patch kit. You can go ahead and make all kinds of repairs. It has the glue that's needed right here for the repairs. And then you're gonna have all your guy lines. So we will set up a couple of these as well, just so you guys can get an idea of how to guy line it out. Also, it's gonna have these zipper bags. Now this Velcros to the wall of the tent. I'll bring them inside and show you. But you can store stuff. It already has some mounted in there, hard mounted. And then these are the windows, the clear section to the windows that we'll put on. And then this is the door that we're gonna get into. And inside this bag is another zipper pouch where you can put all this hardware. Like I was saying, your repair kit can go in there. So friends, there's our stove jack there, and you'll see by the front door, it has a guy outline position here, and then it has one underneath the stove, and then it has one on this corner right here. It's gonna have another one in the middle right here of the next panel, and so on all the way around. So my recommendation is to get out some corners if it's really windy, and maybe this bottom one and these 2 right by the stove jack. Then you know that the wall is being taut out that way. Now these guy lines just come like a big piece of rope. So what I like doing to start is just to put a little loop in there, big enough that I can now pass the rope through. So what I'm gonna do is loop this through one of the guy out positions and then do a trucker's hitch on the other end. So I'm not camping and we are not in high winds, but just to show you guys. So I got my loop through there, and I'm gonna do a bit of a, we'll call it a modified trucker's hitch. So I'm gonna go ahead and anchor this guy, and it has that really nice hook that I was showing you earlier. So I can push that in, and now with that loop, I can actually just pull that really taut right there, and then you can tie that off your preferred method. One more guy out position over here. Again, you start with a simple line. I'll put a loop at the end of it. Now I'm going to feed it through here. Now when I'm pulling tension, you can see that is what's pulling tight right there. So I'm going to anchor this end right here on my left hand down to the ground. So this trucker's hitch, kind of modified trucker's hitch, it's going to move. I can scoot that. When I feel that's tight enough, I can pinch it, wrap my cord around this end, just kind of put tension there, and that holds plenty good. Before I bring out the hinge door, I want to show you guys the doors that are already built in. So right out the gate, you have the outer door. So of course this is camouflage, and it zippers all the way around. It also has the ability to tie it off. So if you're coming in and out constantly and you just want to use the hinge door, you can tie these off to get them out of your way. So that's the first door. The second I already have tied off. That's the bug net. I don't know about where you're camping, but guys, this is essential. Again, it zippers all the way around here. Really big, heavy duty zippers. And then you can tie it off as well to get it out of the way. Now I have really big hands. I wear an XL glove and I don't do the little tiny stuff. My fingers are too big. This has a very large loop on there and a nice hard plastic stay that is really enjoyable to work with. I can get it done in seconds. The last portion is the inner door. It's again half camouflage. It looks more camouflage from the inside. And of course you can tie that off as well. So this is a double walled tent. So you have the outer section and then you have the inner, and they're all Velcroed to the poles. So you have several places where you can do adjustments on each pole. You have little clasps, if you will, that have adjustments. And so that makes it super important to have that double walled. In the winter time, when you have the condensation building up, every breath you take is introducing more moisture into the system. When it's cold, that moisture freezes and it makes for a really uncomfortable night. Every tent's still gonna have condensation and moisture issues, but it's practically gone away with this tent. All right, friends, so the moment we've all been waiting for, this awesome door. Now this is only, you're gonna find it on RBM tents, and it pops out just like the tent pops up. So I kind of push it against my leg and then give it a pop, and that's how that guy ends up looking. So if you look at it, it has Velcro on this side and that. And then over there on the tent, it has Velcro that grabs it all the way down. This is something you gotta get in your own groove on, but I've found in the couple times I've had it set up to start on the outside. Not sure why, but that works for me. Now that I got the outside, I can come back in, and it really hasn't attached yet. So I can come back in and start attaching it down the way. Now I have a door. Check it out, guys. You're in and out. How good is that? That is just too fun. I mean, the fact that I can walk in and out of a tent and not crawl is just amazing. So it's pretty simple. Right here, you're just gonna tuck it. And you can do that from the inside or out. Now this isn't something where it's the middle of night and you got the heater going and you're trying to stay warm, but this is as you're coming in and out. You want to keep the majority of the flies out, keep some comfort in there. How awesome is that door? I'll go ahead and open this other door, then we can have some light coming in while we're filming on the inside. So friends, what do you know? I brought you in here and I am actually standing up. I'm 6'2", and if I stand straight up, of course my head's crunched in there. But guys, tell me a tent that you can stand up in. This is amazing. If you're shorter than me, then you'll have no problem standing at all. So of course you have this middle pull. This is what I was telling you earlier, that I'm gonna pull down on this and push up on this guy. It's quite a maneuver, and you just gotta, again, just like other things, you gotta get in, you gotta use it and find your own way. I'm still finding mine. Something I'll tell you is when you're pushing up and pulling down, The ground floor, because it has a floor in here, you have to make sure you're not standing on it because the legs are trying to spread out and you want to make sure that the floor can open. So you may have to position the floor a few times and scoot around and make sure you got the floor where it can open up freely. It's kind of strange, but you'll get in your own groove. So I am going to unscrew this, and it has a handle just like this at the bottom. I have found that I can kind of practice my fire making skills, you know, if you're doing a little hand bow drill or whatever, that works as well. But that's just going to have a screw tip there, and there's the handle. And then, friends, they give you this guy to put on in the meantime. Now, you wouldn't want that to pop down and not have the pole in, so that's why they give you this guy. So you can put that back in to make sure and avoid any accidents. Now, once it's popped up, it really doesn't want to come down, but this is going to be in there to make sure that can't happen. If for some reason someone's in here and goofing around and popping that back down, I imagine that would be kind of tricky situation. Doable, but just something you'd like to avoid. So there you are, that's all that's in there now, except for this cool net up here. Now look at, you can start to see some of that hardware. See how big this is in my hand there. That's how big all the poles for the window stays and the door stays are that big. Now that's the kind of stuff I like. You can put a flashlight in here and have that shining down. I did that in my camping video. I had 2 flashlights. You can put a headlamp. You can get a really neat light and put it in the middle. Now the stove's going to be kind of where the camera is. You'll be back here, so the light doesn't have to be dead center. It can be in one of these positions. So friends, I moved you to the other side, and now I can show you all kinds of things. Right here is your stove jack. You can see the hole where the stove's going to go through. This has the rubberized silicone back here, which is fireproof. Over here, you're going to see one of these zipper pouches I was talking about. This is Velcroed on to the back wall, and this comes off. This is separate. It has clear packaging, clear pouches, has little shove pouches, and another zipper at the bottom, and it Velcros back. Down here along the whole wall, you'll see these cubbies. This was nice to put bear spray, something where you're sleeping, have some protection. Guys, you can put your flashlight down in here. You can put your wallet, keys, and it has that all around the entire side here. Here is a window I'm going to show you. That's the inner layer to the window. Now it has your bug net. So you got a bug net, and that's the double layer right here. Now you see the outer layer. Now that comes off, and there's still another layer. This window has a cool little window stay, has a Velcro, so you can keep a little bit of airflow. Now this is going to be important when you're running a fire in the stove. You can have some fresh air coming in as the fire steals all the clean air from the tent. This is what you can take out completely, and that's where the clear window goes. So I'm going to put the clear window in, but I want to show you this from the outside perspective. You can lift that up and Velcro that, and now you have a really nice bit of ventilation coming through there. This has some structure in it, maybe plastic or something. I think that's so smart. I can't get over that. So this whole section is going to come up, and then if you want, you can tie it off up there. Everything can tie off. And now we can start putting our window in. And still cover it back up if you want to. That way if it's raining or something, you got that added layer of protection. The neat part is all this flap will keep the rain from coming in there. But if you want to enjoy the window, get some light in, there you are. I think I'm good with just the bug net. So I don't know if I'm going to run this all the time, but I'm really happy that they threw that in there. The attention to detail on this tent is amazing. Look how big these zippers are. There's not a zipper on this thing that doesn't have the added RBM logo. And I just think the extra steps they take, look at that. 2 zippers, they both have it, make or break you. And they have gone out of their way to just provide quality A lot of people, you have to pay extra for all this stuff. It's just built into this tent. We already talked about the guy outlines, but look at the reflective built in here, the reflective built in here. Now friends, I actually brought my stove in here to show you guys. This is the titanium fast fold stove from 3 Ridges Gear. Now it's a small stove, it's made for backpacking. If you check back my recent video, it got it up to 70 degrees in here, and I had to start opening the windows. Now RBM has their own stove. I hope to get my hands on it in the future, and it actually twists around the back ways. So it would end up looking more like this configuration with the door right here. They have a special channel for the heat to go in and then back up out. You can see the silicone right here is going to protect it, and there's plenty of room for the stove to kind of be backward facing and give you enough room for at least 3 people to sleep comfortably right here with the stove. So I think it's a 2 to 4 man, something like 2 to 3 with the stove and 4 without a stove, maybe 5 or 6 people. But at any rate, friends, I am so comfortable just with myself. I'm taking a friend out soon. We're gonna be in this tent together. I can't wait for that one. Here's a better look at the stovepipe outside the tent. Mine's really high. And here's how they have it connected. Again, this is a fireproof silicone rubber, and then they have a metal ring on the outer and then the inner as well. And here's that shot of the inner, so you can see another metal ring and more of this stove jack. This actually does Velcro out. If you wanted and you weren't running a heater and you wanted that gone, you could remove it. Directly to the left of the stove, you'll see this little window here. This is so you can get some clean air in while you have a fire. So again, look at how nice these stays are. It's a really big stay. You can roll that up and open that side. Now I've came outside, and here we are. You're gonna have another one of these little Velcro options here to open that. It'll still be good in the rain. The water can go over it, but it's gonna give nice clean air for your stove. And there it is, friends. I can't think of anything I missed, but I'm sure there's something. So I'll tell you what, I'm an open book. Let me answer any questions you guys have. Talk to me in the comments below. We set up the ground floor, we put the guy lines, we popped up the tent, looked at the windows, looked at the stove. Guys, there's so much room for you and your friends, your family to have a really good time, whether it's winter or the middle of summer. Friends, I have a link to this tent and a promo code. So when you guys purchase that, it's not gonna cost you any extra. In fact, get you a discount. So check the description for that. Friends, these are the kind of videos we're putting out over at the Gentleman's Journey. Like I said, I've already taken this out. We're going out again this weekend. So friends, I like to do these walkthroughs so you feel a little more familiar with it and answer any questions. But at the heart of it, friends, I just like being out in the woods, putting this gear to use. So let me know if I can help you in any way. From adventure to the next adventure, be blessed.